Could you imagine how much pressure it would have been to be the first king of Israel? Like what would that have felt like? What kind of insecurities would have that brought up? Could anybody and any bull be the first king of Israel? Well, if you ever ask any of those questions, or if they made you think a little deeper and you'd be like, I never thought about that. Stay tuned for this week's episode. Hey y'all, it's your girl Steph. Thank you for pulling up to another video. I'm so thankful that you are here and decided to pull up and see what we're doing today. If you are new here, this is the Bible Live series on Spotlight TV. And here at the Bible Live series, we are dedicated to reintroducing you to Bible stories in a creative, innovative, and passionate way through the eyes of a slightly ratchet, just a little bit, okay? Not a lot, yet redeemed millennial. And if you haven't already, why haven't you subscribed? Hit that subscribe button and join the fam. There's so much here at Spotlight TV that I cannot wait to share with you, and you will only know about it if you subscribe. If you're ready for this week's video, stay tuned. So y'all, today we are continuing in 1 Samuel, and in this episode we are going to be talking about Saul, Israel's first king. And we're going to be hanging out in chapters 8, 9, and 10. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to break down the characters. So we have someone we already are familiar with, Samuel. Samuel is now the current and will be the last judge of Israel. Then we have Saul. Saul is a son of a very wealthy man from the tribe of Benjamin in Israel. So the Bible describes Saul as basically the finest man in Israel. They are like, he is tall, dark, and handsome, and he has all of the things. Okay? And this is of course taking place in Israel. So let's set the scene. As we know from the previous episode, Eli, who was the previous judge before Samuel, had passed away. And at this point in the story, Samuel is also getting much older. Now, very similar to Eli's story, Samuel's kids is actually pretty ratchet as well. So they're just bad, corrupt, taking bribes. And the elders of Israel notice that. They're like, okay, we're taking note of your little ratchet kids. And they also are taking note in the fact that they are in constant war with the Philistines. They are not united as a nation. And they see that other nations have kings. So they collect all this information. They call a big family meeting. They invite Samuel. Samuel's like, brothers, how y'all doing? What's up? They're like, bruh, we love you. You're great. Your kids are terrible. We also want a king. We love that you are leading us, but we do not want your kids to lead us. And all the other nations have a king, so we want a king too. And Samuel is just like, wow, we understand that you are upset. King? I can see that you are. What you talking about, king? Ain't no king. God's your king. What you talking about? I'm sorry. But we said what we said. So Samuel was upset. He's like, you know what? Y'all tripping. I'm going to talk to God. I'm snitching on y'all to God. And then when he gives me the words, you just wait. And do you know what God says? Give them the king that they want. Samuel was like, what? God, you're king. But God makes it very clear to Samuel, they don't want him as their king anymore. Ever since they came into Israel and came to the promised land, all they did was constantly turn away from him. And now they're giving Samuel the same treatment. So God was like, fine, give them their little king, but rest assured, you need to tell them every detail about what will happen if they have a king. What type of king are they signing up for? And let them decide if that's still what they want. So the Lord gives the elders this message through Samuel, and the elders are like, okay, and I said what I said. So God was like, all right, here you go. Take your king. So now we have the background to the whole king situation. Obviously, it was a very unpopular vote but it still was what the people of Israel decided that they wanted. And God graciously gave that to them. So let's meet Saul. So as we said earlier, Saul is a son of a very wealthy man. Now he's particularly wealthy because he has a lot of donkeys. Donkeys served as a multi-purpose machine. They not only were your ride when you need to go somewhere, but they were also your plower for your land and all your crops and stuff. You know, they do it all. Even the poorest family in Israel, from the smallest tribe, had at least one donkey. So for Saul's father to lose a donkey, that would be a big deal. And that is exactly what happened. So a donkey gets lost, goes away. I don't know if that's the donkey song.
Donkey song. Donkey sound. Donkey sound.
The donkey gets lost. Saul's pop is like, you and your servant need to go out and find my donkey. They're searching high and low, left and right, up and down, all over 3 different towns for this donkey. They can't find it. It's getting late. Saul is like, listen, bro, we tried. My papa's probably more worried about me being gone, thinking I'm snatched up, versus worrying about this donkey. So the servant's like, okay. I have an idea. There is someone who lives here in this city, a seer. A seer was another word people use for a prophet. And the servant was particularly talking about Samuel, not only a prophet, but the judge of Israel. Saul's like, okay, well, that's a great idea, but what we gonna give him? We don't got no donkey, no money, no food, barely got air to breathe. I'm tired. And the servant is like, well, you know, I got this coin left. I forgot what the currency was, but it wasn't a lot, but it was the last of what he had. So the servant is like, I at least have this. So Saul's like, okay, fine, we'll try it. So they're running up and down. They're like, where is the seer? Then let's zoom out. Zoom. Now we're with Samuel. The day before all this happened, God had given Samuel a vision. And he was like, tomorrow, you are going to see and meet the man who will be the king of Israel. So Samuel was like, okay, cool. So now let's come back to the story, right? So we have Saul over here, Samuel over here. Saul is like running around with a chicken with his head cut off. And Samuel's over here and he sees Saul. And God is like, hey, him right there. That's him. That's the guy. And Saul sees Samuel. So now Saul is like, sir, do you know where the seer's house is? Humble Samuel. He's like, I'm the seer. And the next thing that Samuel said to Saul would change his life forever. He was like, don't worry about those donkeys. They were found like 3 days ago. And I am here to tell you that you and your family are the focus of Israel's hopes. Now imagine hearing those words, because you have to think about Israel is in a dismantled space right now. They're constantly at war. The people are always being snatched up. So to know that about your nation is pretty mind-blowing. But Saul didn't respond the way that I think any of us really anticipated. He started pointing out all the reasons why he thinks that he's unqualified for, why he is basically irrelevant, and that he's undeserving of everything that Samuel is saying to him. So now Samuel was like, all right, bro, let's go. So they go up to the place where the dinner is happening, and there are 30 special guests there. This isn't just any 30 people off the street. These are highly known people in Israel. And not only is Saul there in the midst of them, but Samuel seats him at the head of the table in front of everybody. That seat was of highest honor at the entire dinner. So the night goes on. Samuel was like, y'all should stay the night. I'll send you on your way next morning. Stays the night, wakes up the next morning. They get ready to go. Samuel is like, Saul, let your servant go ahead of you. I have something to tell you. And says to Saul that I'm doing this because the Lord has appointed you king over Israel. So now after this, Samuel gives Saul a prophecy about everything that he's going to experience on his way home. And also a foreshadowing prophecy of what he's going to experience a couple chapters later. And on his way home, he experienced everything that Samuel said. It was crazy. That whole experience is going to be in chapter 10, verse 2 through 16. After Saul got home, he probably was like, what have I gotten myself into? So now we're going to fast forward a little bit. Samuel has now called together all of the people, all of the tribes, all of the families of Israel together in one space. At this point, he is now going to publicly announce Saul as king. But before that happens, God goes off. God was like, I rescued you, I fed you, I saved you, I gave you everything you needed. Yet I am still not enough. Just for a disclaimer, nothing will ever be enough if I'm not enough. But for some reason, you think that a king, a human king, in comparison to an eternal God, will be enough. Okay, fine. You want a king so bad? You'll get a king. But this king is going to come from one of y'all, okay? It ain't gonna come out of nowhere. He's gonna come from one of you. So Samuel now starts to take a lot. This is basically a process where a high priest will ask God very specific questions, yes or no, and God will answer them through this. And they basically dwindle down tribe by tribe, family by family, all the way down to who is going to be anointed as king. And that ends up, of course, being Saul. Now, you know that it's Saul. I know that it's Saul. And Saul knows that it's Saul. But where is Saul, y'all? Saul is hiding behind a load of baggage. So a bunch of people end up finding Saul. They drag him out. They're like, boy, if you don't get out of here. Like we said earlier, very handsome, very tall, towering over all the people of Israel. He walks through the crowd all the way to the front where Samuel is. Samuel presents him as the king of Israel, and the people shout, "Long live the king." Saul was about 30 years old when he became king and reigned over Israel for over 42 years. Okay, so now we're about to get into the spotlight verse of the day. Now, y'all, there was a lot that went down in this story, but there was one specific verse that stood out to me, and that was in chapter 9, verse 21. That was the verse where Saul gave his first response to Samuel about God choosing him as king. It was the moment where he pointed out his insecurities, inqualifications, everything that was the opposite of what he thinks deserves to be king, but ignoring the fact that God chose him despite all of that. And so many times we are presented with so many opportunities and we're so scared that we can't step up to the plate. We're so scared that we'll fail, that we paralyze ourselves into failure. Please, y'all, don't be like Saul in this moment. Go through that process with God and trust him every step of the way. Don't lose heart. Don't lose faith. Stick with it. And God's got you. Y'all, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to continue to work through 1 Samuel, and I can't wait to do it with you guys. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, do all of the things so you can know what's happening. Okay? And just a quick reminder to always be a light wherever you go, because we need you. See y'all in the next one. Peace.